Michael Liu today, COO of Raja & Tan Technology. Michael Liu, welcome to C-Integrity Community Interview. And you know that I particularly doing this interview to grow my legal, compliance, regulatory risk, white-collar crime community. Also in the area of legal technology and disrupted law or future of law. Now, your journey, you're always basically being very proactive in technology, not just legal technology. From the beginning, when I know you, that you specialize in digital forensic. And from that technology wave, moved towards e-discovery. And then, with legal technology on the rise, you started Legal Combat. Why Legal Combat?
Well, first of all, I have to say the journey from being a professional consultant from one of the biggest advisory firm to a startup, it's something which is very challenging. It's not an easy fit to move from the corporate environment to a startup environment, but it's also very fulfilling at the same time. One of the main drivers is actually my passion, as you mentioned, in legal tech. I feel that now at this point, at least in the last 2 years, there has been a huge push in the industry, especially in Singapore, for the legal faculty to look into other areas of services, not just in terms of legal services, but how to incorporate technology and innovation into the new wave of legal services moving forward.
Right. Now, when you talk about legal services, so yesterday we had about 100 plus general counsel in the room. They're still not convinced that legal tech able to help them what they do.
Well, I do agree to a certain extent. I mean, just take my background, for example. I mean, I have been a legal technologist for the last 18 years. So in the early days of legal technology, it's basically just deploying what you call enabling technology, like document management, case management, and even practice management platform to a law firm or even corporate counsel. But in recent years, legal technology has evolved into what you call, or some like the term as disruptive technology.
Actually, I will stop you there. You're right. I mean, a lot of people talk about legal technology. 10 years ago, people talk about technologies, what? Document scanner.
Exactly.
Right? Virtual data room or et cetera, et cetera. Anything to do with legal processes. But it has changed. It has a different definition now.
That's right.
Is that right? So what is it then?
Well, to me, I mean, legal tech is many things to many people, but to me, I always like to call it the ABCs of legal tech. So A for AI, B for blockchain, and C for cloud. Why it's important is because the ABCs is actually what I would feel that is a game changer, right? Because with AI, you will have unprecedented speed in terms of processing data, and then with blockchain, that is where you can build trust using a blockchain platform. And the cloud is obviously the most important part of a successful legal tech solution, because with cloud technology, that's where you can have really affordable and transparent costs. And costing is always one of the biggest trigger in terms of adoption of any technology.
Right. Cloud as in where you store stuff, or cloud is just basically the system itself?
Well, cloud as the cloud-based platform. So it's
right, okay. E-discovery play a big role in legal technology, would you say?
Yes, that's true. In fact, to a certain extent, I feel that e-discovery is what you call the grandfather of legal technology, because it has been around for the last 10, even 20 years.
Yeah.
So it is a matured form of legal tech, and yet it also has all the bells and whistles, if you would call it like machine learning, AI, and it's gone to a very matured level as well in terms of its predictive coding capabilities and the ability to save a lot of time and in turn cost during a discovery process.
Absolutely. Now, the reason I want to mention discovery or e-discovery is because it's in my heart, because we actually know each other through e-discovery. In year 2007, when I first started this whole e-discovery events, in both in Singapore and Hong Kong, has it changed much in e-discovery landscape?
Well, in Singapore, for example, there have been a practice direction of e-discovery since 2009, and then there was an addendum to it in 2012. So that has really helped to move the market and encourage the usage of e-discovery, having a proper and clearly defined practice direction.
When it comes to e-discovery, is the review part.
That's right.
Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges of e-discovery is actually big data. So it's already a challenge to review, let's say, 5,000 documents. But imagine you need to go through 50,000 or even 500,000 documents. So it's virtually possible for a trained lawyer to go through the document on what you call a linear pattern.
Yep.
But with e-discovery and with the solution, we will have what you call analytics tool. So it will be able to sift through a big amount of data in a very short period of time, and then to identify pockets of information that you can actually review first. And then once you have a better idea of what you're looking for, then it helps you to narrow down the search. Because in a lot of discovery, we don't know what we do not know, right?
Yeah.
So you need to start somewhere. So with the analytics tool and also with some degree of artificial intelligence, so there is a significant speed in terms of getting to the documents that you're looking for.
Right. So a lot of in-house counsel or even cooperation will say, "No, look, I mean, we don't do litigations." Okay, because the e-discovery comes to it, or basically discover of evidence is when they need to do litigation, or they get sued or disputes or anything like that. But that's not the case in Asia, right? We see people are using e-discovery for different purposes.
That's true. In fact, that's a very interesting question because in my career as a sort of digital forensic investigator and also e-discovery specialist, in fact, most of the time our cases are dealing with investigation. So it can be internal investigation or also regulatory investigation. So e-discovery is a very powerful tool and what you call a backbone behind all investigation.
Why is that? Now, the reason why I say why is that is because in US and Europe, it's a very litigious culture. But in Asia, we know it's not.
That's
in
right.
Asia, that we basically, if a company get into trouble, they like to basically settle most of the time or work out a deal, etc. But investigations still need to carry out because they need to know what are the wrongdoing that took place. And also, they also basically need to understand that what are the damages, etc. So how does culturally play in the e-discovery world or digital forensic or investigation, given that you spent the last 18 years, experience this?
So that's a very good point because most of the litigation-based discovery in Singapore is what you would term as specific discovery. So both parties will have a specific understanding or a specific agreement on what they want to discover. For example, just a mailbox of this custodian or person of interest between a certain period of time. And then they're probably looking for a very narrow scope of keywords.
Yeah.
Right? But in an investigation case, you have to cast the net a little wider, in fact, a lot wider, because you do not know the extent of a fraud, for example. It could be a sort of a minor misappropriation of funds, or it could be very serious sanctions.
Yeah.
So we do not know the extent. So hence the discovery process has to be more onerous in nature.
I do want to get into the whole process, but I know that this particular interview is all about technology, how it drives the change and stuff.
Yeah, one of the more interesting projects that I'm working in this area of e-discovery is to launch what you call a certified e-discovery project management course. And this is in collaboration with SAL, Singapore Academy of Law. So the main objective of this is to enable more legal practitioners to have the option to also...
So this is a first start then?
Yes, that's right.
When they come out from a law school, they don't necessarily need to go to a law firm to practice law. They can choose the technology path. Is that...
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
That's right. And the reason why we choose this sort of e-discovery project manager is because we find that it is a good inroad for lawyers. Like you said, if we switch from law to technology, it might be a very huge leap, as in the really techy part of the e-discovery process.
Yeah.
Data preservation, forensics, and even processing. But the project management part, in fact, the legal training that they get is very relevant.
Yeah.
So typically a trained lawyer would have what you call very strong management skills, very strong analytical skills, and especially when it comes to reviewing or discovery of evidence, that is something that is already being trained in the law school.
Right.
But it's just a matter of repackaging it, into what you call e-discovery project manager.
Why basically do it in Singapore when they already basically have something there?
Yeah, so this is the first in Asia, and we find that there's a gap in that sense, because in terms of the discovery in Asia is very different from discovery in other parts of the world. While the process is the same, but as we mentioned, sometimes there are little nuances, such as the way that the practice direction goes,
The language?
The language, and also cultural difference as well. It's not uncommon to have 3 languages in one document in this part of the world.
And what about jargon?
Exactly, yeah.
There could be hidden jargons that, let's come out for
coffee, right?
coffee, or sometimes basically it's not that monetary, the exchange is favor, and languages and culture play a thing, and that strike you to basically do that? Is that
yes, to sort of have a localized certification course,
right?
Yeah, and again, I think the sort of skill set that we have in Asia is also could differ from the sort of skill set in US or even UK. And another good thing about here in Singapore is, a lot of association and a lot of stakeholders has, in the past 2 or 3 years, have actually done a lot of work in creating the awareness of Singapore as a legal technology hub. So while I love to travel around and meet with the other legal techs around the world, but what I'm seeing is they are coming to Singapore. So I have the privilege that every time you have a legal tech from Russia, from America, and recently even from Mongolia, these are the top legal tech firms. When they visit Singapore, then I get a privilege to meet up with them and then to share on what is happening in this part of the world as well. So that is very interesting.
No, it's true. I mean, Singapore, a lot of entities, including governments, are very supportive in this, and they provide grant too.
Oh yes, yeah.
Right. And recently, Legal Comets represents Nuix Ringtail.
That's right. Yeah.
Tell us about Nuix Ringtail.
So as a background, I founded Legal Comet. It's an e-discovery startup about 2 years ago. And then last year in November, it was acquired by Raja & Tan Technologies. And in recent months, we had a tie-up with Nuix. And then this is the launch of what we call Legal Comet e-discovery cloud, powered by Nuix Ringtail. And the good news is we are also one of the pre-approved vendor of this Taxcelerate for Law program. It's an initiative by MinLaw, Enterprise Singapore, IMDA, and Law Society. So there is a significant grant of approximately 3.8 million. And then this is for law firms or what you call Singapore law practices to adopt technology. So it will be heavily subsidized. So our platform or our package is one of the pre-approved vendor. In fact, it's one of the 3 pre-approved vendor for e-discovery.
Wow. Okay. And this encourage law firm to basically use more technology.
Yeah. So it's a very low sort of barrier of entry, for law firms in Singapore to adopt technology, and one of the caveat is most of this technology are all cloud-based. So back to my point, and also AI-based, right? So back to my point that the game changer in legal tech now, it has to have some element of AI, cloud and blockchain to come. Right now, I suppose blockchain has not been.
Now I understand where you're coming from. Now, because of that, this provide agility, this provide flexibility,
and finally, trust. Blockchain is where blockchain is where you can sort of have what you call electronic trust. But right now, the trust is not as important because there's a trust between parties, the relationship between lawyers and their clients.
Right. Okay. What are the 3 things you're working on right now?
Okay. Well, I'm still actively involved in what you call e-discovery, the e-discovery sector. So we feel that there's a lot more excitement and there's also a lot more growth in the area of e-discovery. But I do agree that e-discovery is not just limited to litigation. So we want e-discovery to be used in arbitration and also more so in investigations as well. So that's one area. So another area is...
I think auditors should use e-discovery. It's a lot easier.
Oh yes, of course, definitely.
Okay, go on.
So the other sort of project that's keeping me busy is I'm one of the founding board member of ASEAN Legal Tech Association. So this is an association that I founded together with a couple of like-minded individuals around the region. Right? So the whole concept of this association is for us to have a voice for all the legal tech companies and also stakeholders, especially the bar councils in various ASEAN countries, to come to a point that there is a common understanding or common grounds on how legal tech firms can grow. And of course, this is in conjunction with the way that every country has different what you call legal professional acts as well. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's exciting.
Yes.
And what are you, you're already on top of your day jobs and things you want to create. This is already busy enough. I mean, why do this?
Well, I guess at the end of the day, I feel that this is a necessary sort of stepping stone for a lot of young lawyers, so, and also younger consultants. So to a certain extent, we're not doing it for ourselves, but it's really for the next generation of legal technologies and lawyers as well. In order for them to have a sort of a robust and healthy marketplace, like we see in international scenes such as US, UK, So to a certain extent, in those markets, it has been very matured and to somewhat proven that this is an industry that can thrive.
I actually see this. I believe in this future long before
oh yeah, we did have our conversations about this.
Yes. And I continue to see this grow exponentially. But really, the last questions. What do you think the challenges that these company or legal technology per se would face?
In fact, one of the biggest challenge is data. So all legal tech companies are sort of chasing for the same set of data. And when it comes to technology, the critical success factor is really having the right set of data. For example, in AI, the technology is there, but if you don't have the right data set to be trained, and then to get an optimal result, then it's what you call a garbage in, garbage out situation.
I cannot agree more. I don't think it's just data. I actually think it's like yesterday's, when I first started this interview with you, 100 plus general counsel was mentioned that they don't see the value of using legal tech is because of the same thing. It is actually not enough data to support it or to process.
To see a result.
To see a result, to see a real result, because we all work with lawyers. You know how meticulous they are.
That's right.
Very objective orientated to some. However, I also see their point as well. No point buying a technology if it's only going to basically do baseline work. If you're basically going to do a technology, they have to basically at least achieve some sort of objective. Okay?
But technology is not the only component, you see. So in order for it to be a successful outcome, then there is the people element, the right expertise,
exactly,
and also the process around it as well. It's equally important.
Okay, and how to basically train lawyer to high value stuff.
That's right.
And use technology to basically assist them to get things quicker. Because there's only so much deal out there, right? Okay. Thank you so much for this particular segment. This is Michael Liu, COO of Rajah & Tann Technology, and also a very close friend of mine. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeffrey.